Welcome to Aran Island Discs, a podcast series where we talk to Irish people from different walks of life as they reflect on their own journeys. Join me, Rossa McDermott, as we explore the many aspects of Irishness and what it means to each of our guests through life's ups and downs. So, Kevin, when you were a student over here in Trinity, when did you realise you were real Irish or not Irish? There was even a difference. How did you realise that?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's several experiences. The one stood out. I mean, like I said, I went over there thinking I was Irish in the context of listening to Tommy Makem and the Clancy Brothers songs. But I figured out, I was American. I figured that out. Although, obviously, with Irish grandparents, there is that. But I remember when I was a student at Trinity, I hitchhiked out to Dingle with a friend of mine named Con O'Brien. And Con wasn't a student. A lot of the Trinity students came from like the upper classes. There wouldn't be a natural affinity with me and them. But I met Con at the Lincoln, which is the pub outside the back gate of Trinity. Which was a student hangout. But
yeah, a Trinity student hangout.
Yes, exactly. But there were other people there, obviously, and Con was one of them. We got talking. We just hit it off. And like a few weeks after we met, we somehow came to the conclusion that we both desperately wanted to go to West Kerry and specifically to the Dingle Peninsula. So we hitchhiked out. I remember our Lyft dropped us off in the middle of Ship Street and telling us the cheapest B&B was right up the road, Mrs. Murphy's, blah, blah, blah. And I remember it was pissing rain. Mrs. Murphy answered the door. She was dressed all in black, like my grandmother from Connemara was, the Irish widow.
Yeah.
I told Con, I'll do all the talking. No, you won't. I said, hello, Mrs. Murphy. My friend and I are looking for accommodation. Your B&B came highly recommended. So Mrs. Murphy gave me the once over and said, she goes, you're not from here? I said, no, I'm from Boston, man. I'm studying at Trinity this year. She looked, Mrs. Murphy looks over at Con and she goes, what about him? I said, Con took off his hat, measure of respect. I said, I'm Irish, Mrs. Murphy. I'm from Dolphin's Bar in Dublin. And Mrs. Murphy did not look impressed. She said, Dublin is a kip. And she led us upstairs and said we owed her £6. And trust me, Ross, that was a steal.
Yeah.
That was £3 each. I handed over the money and Mrs. Murphy said, I suppose you'll be wanting to visit the pubs tonight. And I said, oh, yes, ma'am. We'd like to grab a pint and something to eat, maybe. And we're not from here, so we're hoping you might be able to recommend some place. And Mrs. Murphy squinted, and I guess she wasn't in favor of drinking. And she said, well, I can't tell you where to go, but I can tell you where not to go. Flay Hives. It's an immoral pub run by an immoral man. I thanked Mrs. Murphy profusely, telling her she had surely saved us from a night of debauchery.
I made your way directly.
Public house. Well, Con and I left the house, walked onto the pathway, looked back to make sure she had closed the door, and then we looked at each other and both said in unison, Flay Hives. So we found the pub. It was down by the waterfront, right across from the marina. And it was one of those old-fashioned pubs with a grocery on one side and a handful of stools and a small bar on the other. And the pub was empty, total, not a soul. Hello, like I called out, anyone there? And at the far end of the pub, a figure leaned back, came into view in the back door, and looked like he was relieving himself on the wall out back. He goes, I'll be right with you, calls. So Jim Flayhive, the publican, comes in. He's just a big, severe man. And he found, me and Connor perched on these fairly unstable stools at the bar. What do you have? Guinness, I said. And Mr. Flayhive turned to Con, who nodded, indicating he wanted one too. So Mr. Flayhive filled each pint glass, about 3/4, put them down, settled. Then he turned his attention to us. You're not from here, he said. I'm from Boston, sir. Studying at Trinity for the year. Flayhive nodded, and he wasn't impressed. What about you? He asked Con. Dublin, Con says. Dublin's a kip. Con looked at me and said, what is going on here? Everybody's saying Dublin's a kip. He goes, where's you staying? And Flayhive asked us. And I said, Mrs. Murphy. He goes, oh, Mrs. Murphy is a good woman, a holy woman, a pious woman. She's at the mass in the morning. She's at the mass in the evening. I couldn't resist. I mean, Con was kicking me discreetly in the shin, like saying, do not say this. Do not do this, Kevin. And I said, well, that's interesting, Mr. Flayhive, because when we asked Mrs. Murphy where we might go to get a pint, she told us not to come here because it's an immoral pub. Mr. Flayhive was just placing the pints perfectly poured right in front of us. He put his both hands on the bar, leaned at us, and said, "I don't." We had a few more points with Mr. Flayhive, who set us straight on Mrs. Murphy and spoke begrudgingly about every other denizen of Dingle. And the story introduced me to the notion of begrudgery and the Irish ability to speak well of someone in one breath and trash them in the next. It was more than a funny story, Ross. Seriously, it revealed something peculiar to the Irish and peculiar out in the country, particularly. It's that sort of, guys, he's lovely. And then you say, nice bastard. So it was eye-opening.
Correct. But something very strange about us as a nation of people is we can do that, talk out of both sides with our mouth in a way,
right,
and be nice about something but be mean. And when I lived in the States for 10 years, you never had any of that. It was strange when you came back to it's part of the way we talk. It's not really with malice. It's just we like to offer excessive information about people, both good and bad.
Right. I remember Bono put it very well. And Bono's another guy who probably knows America better than I did because he's been all over America and I haven't.
Yeah.
And I remember he said the difference between Ireland and America is that if you're standing on the corner and a guy drives by in a nice car, you'll say, I want to get one of those. And then in Ireland, if this guy drives by in a nice car, you say, I'm going to get him.
Exactly. Or how the hell did he get it? Yeah, exactly. Kev, thanks a million.
Good man.